Hey guys, SuperHorrorBro Mike here, and in today's video we take a look at the story of Scorn and my personal interpretation of the meaning behind its very metaphorical story. Before we begin, I want to give a quick heads up that this video will touch on topics that certain viewers may find disturbing and uncomfortable. I will be breaking this video into two sections. Firstly, I'll walk you through some of the events of Scorn's story, step by step, and explain what happens on a surface level. Then, in the second half of the video, we'll take a look at the symbolism behind this story and its deeper meaning. So with that said, sit back, relax, and let's explore Scorn's twisted alien landscape. Scorn begins as an unnamed human protagonist struggles to make their way across a barren wasteland and toward a tower on the horizon. After falling into a crevice, they wake up in an alien structure deep underground. From here, this odd-looking human makes their way into a central chamber, where they must hatch an egg which then gives birth to another humanoid-looking character. We use the arm of this creature to open a door that allows us to progress deeper inside this creepy complex made of flesh and bone. The humanoid then enters an incubation room and discovers an alien weapon. A weapon that also doubles as a key to unlock and power up various contraptions throughout the environment. Upon powering up these mechanical devices, we hatch flying creatures, which then proceed to fertilize egg-like pods. These pods can be fitted to a structure which, once powered up, erupts in a shower of white goo and then sticks our hapless protagonists to the floor, at which point they pass out. Scorn then switches to the perspective of a new character, another humanoid who is born from inside an egg and must detach from a giant umbilical cord. They are surrounded by the corpses of other fallen humanoids who seem to have hatched from these eggs but not survived to tell the tale. It is also apparent we have awoken in the same barren wasteland as the previous protagonist, and begin to make our way to the very same alien structure we observed during the game's intro. The bodies of other fallen humanoids can be found throughout the story of Scorn, suggesting that most born into this world don't last very long in its hostile environment. Eventually, our new protagonist reaches an alien structure and notices a lizard-like creature leading them deeper and deeper within. They are suddenly ambushed by this monstrous entity, which then proceeds to latch onto them like a parasite and fuses with their body. This creature is attached to that familiar alien weapon we acquired during the game's prologue, which suggests that this alien is in fact a mutated version of our previous protagonist. One who has been warped by this hostile world over time and now a predator preying on unsuspecting and newly birthed arrivals. At the heart of this structure is a key-based puzzle. We are required to modify a key 4 times in order to unlock a mechanism which lowers 4 egg-like pods. One of these then hatching and releasing a partially formed human who soon dies as a result of a premature birth. After completing this sinister puzzle, we make our way back to the central chamber where the previous protagonist, now attached to our new character, once travelled before us. Though much time has passed and the area now lies in a state of ruin. At this point, it's worth drawing attention to the state of this alien world in general. We can see it is eroding and disintegrating at every turn. It seems the atmosphere is corroding the environment and slowly draining the life from it. This seems to be a dying civilization, where only parasitic entities have survived the cruel winds of time. We next find ourselves in an alien hive, where the objective is to attach egg-like pods to a track in order to use them to traverse the environment. This area is the first to feature enemies, which come in various forms such as these dog and bull-like creatures. We also acquire our first projectile-based weapon in the form of this pistol, and later we will go on to collect a shotgun and grenade launcher to round out our arsenal. The protagonist also discovers a healing pod, and both of these organic devices can be refueled at charging stations found on the walls throughout the environment. The next area is located deep underground at the lowest point of Scorn's twisted world. Here, a giant monstrous creature must be split open at 3 separate points so that various contraptions can be raised to the upper level. Once this is done, a puzzle can be solved and the chamber raised to a sky rail high above, though doing this kills the giant creature at its centre. By the time we reach the sky rail, the parasite that latched onto our character has really started to slow them down, merging itself with them and growing root-like tendrils that latch onto their flesh. The longer it remains attached, the more infused the two become and the less human our appearance. The sky rail leads to a temple far across the desert below. This temple of light is the very same one both our protagonists have been searching for. It seems these humanoids are drawn to this structure for an unknown purpose, as if the very building itself is calling out to them. The temple is adorned with statues of men and women reproducing. It also shows statues of women in various stages of pregnancy and some giving birth. A mural within the throne room connects an alien race to the humans and suggests that these aliens have been removing human embryos and then growing them outside of the human body, this in turn creating a new race of humanoids. We soon observe this process by collecting up alien babies and placing them inside the bodies of robotic humanoid contraptions. Doing so brings these robots to life, and we must then defeat them by destroying the alien baby they now carry inside. Notice how these robotic humanoids try their best to protect the life inside them, but ultimately fall to our protagonist during battle. We must then collect up 3 of these aliens and juice them down in a machine, collecting their blood in a vial, which can then be transferred inside 2 pregnant humans in the adjacent room. Though doing so causes a strange growth to emerge from their faces, from which an eyeball grows. Another interesting point to note is that these humans are men, not women. Couple this with the fact that we seemingly meet no female characters during the story of Scorn, and it suggests that the women of this world died out, and in order to continue survival, technology was developed which allowed the men to carry children. Though it seems this world slowly died out anyway, with only a few experiments such as our character surviving, alongside the many parasites nesting in the various ruins we journey through along the way. The parasite then takes hold of the humanoid's body to such a severe degree that their hands become moulded to their weapon. It is impossible to proceed as we can no longer use our hands to activate a platform which leads to the temple's upper levels. To regain control of our body, we must finally separate this parasite from us, and so our protagonist locates a contraption that can be used to tear the parasite from their body. Though it does not die, thrashing until it breaks free from the machine before slithering out of sight. Our wounded protagonist then makes their way back to the elevator, whereby they raise themselves and the 2 pregnant humans up to the throne room, and then proceed to strap themselves into a medical device in the hopes a robotic doctor can repair their mangled body. Things don't go exactly to plan, as rather than reassemble us, the doctor instead cuts open the humanoid's stomach and head, attaching their brain to a giant hive mind in the centre of the temple. We see other humanoids who have met the same fate, now all connected to one consciousness. We then awaken as the 2 pregnant humans we filled with alien blood in the chamber beneath, switching between them to solve Scorn's final puzzle, which centres around opening a door at the far side of the throne room. One of the pregnant humans pushes the doctor aside and picks up our humanoid protagonist from the operating table. However, they take one of the doctor's blades, which continues to cut into the unfortunate soul as they are carried beyond the doorway and towards the void of light. Distorted statues point towards this light gate, as if to suggest that this is the way out of this hostile alien dystopia. However, as the 2 make their way towards this exit, their movement slows to a crawl. The parasite returns and merges with our protagonist once more, consuming them as they reach out helplessly towards the pregnant human who almost carried them to safety. In the aftermath of this tragic event, we witness the horrifying result of this merge. The 2 humanoids melding together to create a mass of immobile flesh. one forever trapped inside Scorn's weird world. And that is where the story ends. On the surface, Scorn is a very jumbled game full of strange and nightmarish imagery, and an ending that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It almost seems a little pointless and lacking in direction. This is very much intentional, however, as developer Ebb Software seems to be far more interested in allowing its audience to theorize over the greater meaning behind their very symbolic imagery and metaphorical narrative. By doing so, we see the story in a new light and can make sense of why certain events take place. On a very basic level, when deconstructing this weird world, it's obvious one of Scorn's central themes is a twisted take on the story of creation. From the moment a baby is conceived to the moment they finally make their way out of their mother during the birthing process, as portrayed by this very suggestively shaped light portal during the story's conclusion. But this isn't a light-hearted story of the joy of creation. Instead, Scorn's narrative ventures into the cycle of both life and death. So let's begin with some of the ways in which Scorn presents a symbolic narrative based around the theme of reproduction. At the beginning of the game, we witness our protagonist born from an egg, and then detaching an umbilical cord from their bellies before making their way to a tower of light in the distance. The light representing birth, and this world representing the womb they incubate within. All of Scorn's puzzles revolve around connecting egg-shaped objects with other egg-shaped objects, which can be viewed as a metaphor for conception, the sperm reaching the egg and fertilizing it, granting access to doors that take us deeper inside this world and closer to birth. The world itself is also full of suggestive imagery, a lot of which I simply can't show in this video. These images feed into the theme of reproduction and the creation of new life. We even see a human born at one point from an egg, though they do not survive, and this leads us into the other, darker side of Scorn's metaphorical narrative, that being death. As we observed, this entire world is unstable and slowly eroding. It is full of hostile entities which try to stop our protagonist at every turn. The remnants of a previous character who failed to escape this world even latches onto our protagonist and begins to slowly drain them of their life. The symbolism goes deeper, as we ourselves attack and kill alien babies in our pursuit of freedom, though this process leads the mother figure to become distorted and infected herself. To me, this is a metaphor for complications during childbirth, this resulting in a miscarriage or stillbirth. This would explain why the world looks the way it does, why it is gradually disintegrating all around us. During Scorn's final moments, we witness a doctor operating on our protagonist whose consciousness then becomes one with a pregnant mother figure who tries to carry them to safety while the operation continues. To greatly simplify things, this seems to symbolize a mother who loses their child during an operation, one which occurs as a result of a complicated pregnancy. Scorn's ending suggests that the mother passes away during this surgery along with their child, hence the slowed movement as they carry them toward the light, both fighting to survive but ultimately losing their battle. In this way, Scorn can be viewed as a metaphor for both life and death, one that occurs before the child makes its way into the world. Viewing Scorn through this lens certainly explains imagery like the stillborn human we encounter early on, and the many corpses seen along the way. The more we think of Scorn in this way, the more its gruesome visuals and narrative make sense, although this is simply my interpretation of a very cryptic story, one that can be read in different ways depending on the angle you approach it. While this has been a bleak story, I hope you found my interpretation of it entertaining and informative. And if you did, remember to leave a like, comment down below, and of course subscribe for more horror related content. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.